Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for coming tonight for our Sunday feast gathering, even though we have a big festival tomorrow, so I hope to see you back there for that as well. But you can now all turn and face this big seat, and we'll have our talk from 6 until 7. Tonight's talk is by Dvijamani Dasa Brahmachari Prabhu. Dvijamani has been a Brahmachari monk in this temple for 3 years now. And he's given some talks on Sundays, but his main service in the temple has been to go out around San Diego, and he sets up tables and he tries to share books like Bhagavad Gita and other books on Krishna consciousness with college students and just other people, anyone he meets. So I'm sure he'll share some of that in his talk tonight. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Say again? Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for coming. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Vihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Manachari. Yamunatira Manachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnu Paraparamahamsa Parivrajikacharya Stotra Shati's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Śrīmad-bhāgavatam Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, good evening everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We're going to be speaking from Śrīmad-bhāgavatam tonight. This is Canto 2, text, chapter 8, text number 4. Oh, okay. I'll repeat again. This is second canto, chapter 8, text 4. The cosmic manifestation. Shnivatashadaya nityam Gunatascha svacheshtitam kalina natigrihena bhagavan visate hridi. Translation. Persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead, Sri Kṛṣṇa, manifested in their hearts within a short time. And a purport by Srila Prabhupada. Cheap devotees or materialistic devotees of the Lord are very much desirous to see the Lord personally without meeting the requisite qualifications. Such third-grade devotees should know well that material attachment and seeing the Lord face to face cannot go together. It is not such a mechanical process that the professional Bhagavatam reciters can do the job on behalf of the third-grade materialistic pseudo-devotee. The professional men are useless in this connection because they are neither self-realized nor interested in the liberation of the audience. They are simply interested in maintaining the material establishment of family attachment and earning some material benefits out of the profession. Mahārāja Parīkṣit had no more than 7 days to live, but for others, Mahārāja Parīkṣit personally recommends that one hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, nityam, always by one's effort and with serious devotion also. That will help one to see the Lord Kṛṣṇa manifested in one's heart within no time. The pseudo-devotee, however, is very anxious to see the Lord according to his whims, not making any serious effort to hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, and without detachment for material benefit. That is not the way recommended by an authority like Mahārāja Parīkṣit, who heard and benefited by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvichesha Shunyavadi Pashrita Desha Tarine. So thank you for this opportunity to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. And I pray to Srila Prabhupada that I could speak something beneficial to everyone's spiritual life today. So now we're reading this second canto, which is called Cosmic Manifestation, chapter number 8. And Srimad Bhagavatam is a wonderful book that can help us to get free from the clutches of illusion of material existence. And also it can help us to become deathless, free from birth and death. And any sincere student, as mentioned in his commentary, can get to that level of God realization simply by giving submissive oral reception and hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam very attentively in a very humble state of consciousness, and also from a bona fide speaker. And then in this way the unconquerable Lord will be conquered by this approach of a sincere devotee. And then if we understand our relationship with God, with Kṛṣṇa, everything else will be also revealed to us. And just knowing Kṛṣṇa, we'll be able to understand any person that we'll communicate with. Because Srila Prabhupada said, when you reach the top, everything else is included. All the realizations, all the aspirations and desires will be also included in that. So it is very important to hear Srimad Bhagavatam all the time, regularly. Because at the core of Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of that scripture is ashraya, the shelter of God, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, it's done through Harinamana Kirtanam, through always constant chanting of the holy name of the Supreme Lord. And it doesn't matter if we approach here in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam with material desires or without any material desires, if we seek in full liberation or not, we can still approach this great scripture. Everyone is welcome to hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. It's very beneficial for everyone. Although it is beneficial, it's not easy to find a person who would be interested to hear. We, myself and my friend Govardhan Prabhu, we go out to distribute books in Balboa Park, colleges, and La Jolla Cove and places throughout town, and, different universities and states and cities. And so we always see, like today, I was at Balboa Park. There's a rush of people. They always come in, come out. You know, they always in the rush, trying to see the museums and all the places of entertainment. And you rarely can really find someone who's genuinely interested in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam or even spiritual life. I actually met someone, a rare person, who was interested, and she was really appreciative of that. And she also was really humble. She was reciprocating with the message and got a lot of books. And she was a wonderful person. And I said to her that I'm going to share a text with you from Bhagavad Gita. That text will speak about rarity of sincerity. And that is Manushinam Sahasrishu. Kṛṣṇa says in the 7th chapter that out of many people who endeavor for perfection, out of many people in the world, only one will endeavor for perfection. And of those who endeavor for that perfection, only one will be able to understand the truth about Kṛṣṇa. So it's really, really rare. So I said to that person that this text is about you. You're really a rare soul. And so now we see Mahārāja Parīkṣit. This chapter number 8 is actually all about asking questions, how to ask questions, how to approach a bona fide spiritual teacher and ask questions, because it's actually not so easy to even have the courage to approach a sadhu and ask a question. And how to formulate a question properly, it's the whole science. People write books about it. So Mahārāja Parīkṣit is a perfect example on how to ask questions, so we can learn that science from him. We can even repeat the questions he asked to our sadhus and spiritual teachers, like that. So he's the grandson of Arjuna and the rest of the Pandavas. He was a great king. He's famous for his ideal rule and renunciation, and also devotion to Kṛṣṇa. We all know his story. He's known as Vishnu Rata. He was saved by Lord Kṛṣṇa when he was in the womb of his mother. And so Parīkṣit Maharaj, he was trying to find a perfect answer to his situation that he was in. He was cursed to live only for 7 days. So it's not a situation of life or death. It's a situation of death and no life. And there were many in that assembly at the river, at the Ganga River. There were many rishis and sages who he could approach. But he wasn't feeling really satisfied with the way they would present. They would speak about maybe you should practice jnana yoga or mystic yoga. And then Shukadeva Goswami came. So he offered his obeisances along with everyone else at the assembly. And in this way he began to ask questions to Shukadeva Goswami. And in the previous chapter, chapter number 7, he was also explaining about scheduled incarnations of Kṛṣṇa. Guna avatars, Manvantara avatars, Leela avatars, and Vaishya avatars, and also Guna avatars. So that chapter spoke about that. From Varaha Dev to Lord Buddha, Kalki, like that. There's many different incarnations. According to place and time and circumstance, Lord Kṛṣṇa will come himself or send his representative. And who knows the 3 reasons why Kṛṣṇa comes to this world. Yeah. And what's the translation?
So he comes to protect the devotees and inhalate miscreants.
Reestablish. Yeah.
Every millennium.
He comes every millennium to reestablish the principles of dharma. So to protect the devotees and annihilate the miscreants and to establish dharma. So those are the reasons for Krishna's appearance. Of course it is so. This is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that those are the reasons. But actually Krishna doesn't have to have a reason to appear. He can come anytime before anyone. Just like this text is mentioning that sometimes people try to, without deserving the appearance of Krishna face to face, they desired that, but they actually don't deserve that. So now in this age we see that Yuga Dharma for this age is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Kali Kali Nama Rupa Krishna Avatara. Krishna comes as the holy name. So by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we can get the darshan of Krishna. It's been stated by our acharyas and Srila Prabhupada. So we have faith in that. And also at the end of this 7th chapter, it is mentioned that to describe the glorious, the vibhudhis of Krishna is practically impossible because they are unlimited. In the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions a few of them. And then he says that this is just a little spark of my whole opulence, of all my opulences, of the splendor of my creation and my qualities. But then surrendered souls, they can know Krishna according to the degree of the surrender and how sincere they are. And Krishna reciprocates with them. There's a famous also text in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye idam mam prapadyante tam stataya bhajami aham. Mama vart manavartante manushi partha sarvashaha. Krishna says that if we approach him, he reciprocates. Just like I mentioned earlier, we might have material desires for karma, and Krishna will reciprocate with that also. He is known as the Yagyeshvara. He will reciprocate if we do it according to scripture in a bona fide way. And then the impersonalists, they're looking for mukti, liberation. He also reciprocates with them as well on their level. Like award them mukti, brahmajyoti, they might enter into that effulgence. And then of course there's yogis, mystic practitioners, they're looking for siddhis. And Krishna is Yogeshvara, he's the source of all that, of all this siddhis. He also can reciprocate with them. But the bhaktas, they have very unique, or can develop very unique relationship with Krishna, based on, of course, the 4 rasas, the 4 mellows. Anyone else? The mellows, the rasas, the relationship we might have with Krishna as devotees, as bhaktas. If anyone remembers. What's Alya? Is it difficult to hear me? Okay. Maybe you can increase the volume. I have a very soft voice. So I was asking, what are the primary rasas for the bhaktas with Krishna? Does anyone know? Shanta? Vatsalya? Yes. Fixing the mic. Thank you. Yes. We got to increase the volume too. Thank you. So Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya Rasa. We can have neutral relationship with Krishna. We can have relationship as a servant, as a friend, parent, and as a lover. So those are the 5 rasas, primary rasas. So if we want to really understand Krishna, our approach to him has to be without any material motivation. Then we can enter into this rasas. We have to, and then obviously we're going to be tested many times. But Rupa Goswami says, "Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyana vritam anakulana krishna nushilanam bhakti rutama." So that's the way to approach the Supreme Lord, without any desire for material liberation, karma, mystic powers. That is the description of the pure devotional service. Also, Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matstani sarva bhutani nachaham teshavastita. He says that by me, in my manifested form, this entire universe is pervaded, and all beings are in me, but I'm not in them. Everything that is created rests on Krishna's potency. And this avyakta murtina, this all-pervasiveness of the Lord, is entering this material world. Krishna comes in every single atom, the heart of every living entity. But with our material senses, we can't see it. So Krishna says, all beings are in me, everything rests in him, comes from out of him, and then comes back into his body, the body of Mahavishnu. But then he says, I'm not in them. So Krishna, even though he is all-pervasive, he always remains as a Supreme Person. So the potency and the potent are simultaneously one and different. That's one of the main principles of our philosophy of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. That's the nature of the Lord. So when Krishna left this world, he didn't just live it wasn't just gone to dust. He left us this beautiful Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. And as devotees, we can read Śrīmad-bhāgavatam and hear Śrīmad-bhāgavatam for the purpose of relationship with Krishna. It's a scientific presentation of our relationship with God. It's compared to the torchlight that will help us to see the things in life with proper perspective. Srila Prabhupada was writing Śrīmad-bhāgavatam in such a way that he had commentaries of 12 great acharyas, and then he would get all the nectar from the commentaries of these acharyas and include it in his commentaries, adding his own realizations. He would always consult Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur. He would consult Sridhar Swami, Jiva Goswami. And we know that there were some cases where the foreign invaders, they were trying to break down the culture of India. They were trying to break up the perfect ideals of culture of India. And they did so externally, but they couldn't do it internally because they couldn't understand Sanskrit. So the Sanskrit kept that ancient message of Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, the Vedic wisdom. Actually, for instance, what British people would do, they would come to India, and they wanted to be on top. They wanted to put India down and be on top. So they would make clothing in India, ship it back to UK, and put a label on it and bring it back and try to sell it in India, providing a product that is better than the local product, which is actually a local product. So that is one way that British trying to take that culture away from India. Another way is they introduced the drinking tea system and the railroads to bring the commodities back to UK. So there's some of the things that they did like that. But then in the Parliament of England, there was a saying that as long as India keep their religion in place, we cannot conquer that country. It wouldn't be possible. So the Sanskrit language protected this sacred message of Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. It's secrets of all secrets mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. And now the secret is released to masses. We massively distribute this Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, and everyone can come and freely download Śrīmad-bhāgavatam and listen to Śrīmad-bhāgavatam classes. It's openly available to everyone. So that is a great fortune. And of course, Bhaktivedanta Swami, he envisioned distributing this Śrīmad-bhāgavatam in masses and all the books. He would translate it and then personally distribute it, take it to the West, try to distribute it here and in enthuse his disciples to do the same thing. And the actual understanding of the Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, at least from some of my humble realization, it might come from if we try to repeat after the words of Shukadeva Goswami, questions of Mahārāja Parīkṣit. If we try to just repeat and preach and give that message to other people or the devotees, then the Śrīmad-bhāgavatam will be easier to understand for us. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, would always stress preaching. He would prefer preaching and publishing books over building temples, and would be very happy if a brahmachari would go out and distribute magazines or books. He'd be very happy to hear that books are being distributed. That was his business and mission. And he wanted all the devotees to write books as well, to be empowered to write books and to preach from them, to publish them, distribute them widely. We were in Hawaii just recently, myself, His Holiness Bhakti Sundara Goswami and Balaram Prabhu, and we all knew that Bhakti Sundara Goswami, His Holiness Bhakti Sundara Goswami wrote a book. Do you guys remember what it's called? When times get tough. He wrote that wonderful book, and some of you got that book, I believe. So this is just a great example of how a disciple of Srila Prabhupada would write a book and he would distribute it. He would approach everyone and give that book, and during Sunday feast he would show and speak something from that book. It's a nice book, you know. It has its realizations and some poetry. And then when His Holiness Bhakti Sundara Goswami with Balaram Prabhu, they were first in Maui, they were flying to Honolulu. They were with this, they met these two young Matajis. By the way, does anyone know how to speak French in the classroom? Maybe a little bit. How do you say "you're not the body" in French? You're not this body. Tu n'es pas ce corps. Yeah. Something like that. So yeah, this is Bhakti Sundara Goswami. He also spoke a little French. So he was with his two Matajis, and they're French speaking. So he was preaching to them about the holy name and about you're not the body, the first principle of Bhagavad Gita. And he said that, tu n'es pas ce corps, right? He said to them, and they were impressed. You know, they've never heard anything like that before. You're not the body. If I'm not the body, who am I? If I'm not the body, am I the mind or intellect? Yeah, I'm the soul. So he invited them to come to the temple, and our goal in Honolulu was to open a program, Mantra Hall, a mantra lounge, the same program as we have here on Thursday and Friday. So they came to that program. It was really nice, and guess what they did? They took Mahārāja's books. So that's a wonderful way to preach. And we would also take a walk to Magic Island, the place where in Honolulu where Srila Prabhupada would daily take a walk when he would stay there. It's a place where he saw the surfers, and he would call them sufferers. He would say that they're surfing, but they're actually suffering because they don't know. But in the next incarnation, they might become a fish, because what they're interested in is taking these waves, you know. And it's the whole austerity to surf, and you gotta put on a wetsuit and wake up early, you know. So instead of sadhana bhakti, they go surfing. And of course the result is different. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, the result for those people who act out of devotion and for fruitive activity is completely different. Materialistic people, they might do the same thing. We speak about something, we eat food, or we prasadam, and we read books, but the purpose is different behind the activity of materialistic people and devotees. So the result is also different. So Srila Prabhupada was completely convinced that the Śrīmad-bhāgavatam would create a revolution in misguided civilization in this age of Kali Yuga. That's why he was writing, when he was writing the Bhagavatam, he gave each word and sentence a lot of his attention, a lot of care. He would select words very carefully. And upon writing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam in 1961, he had an opportunity to go to Japan. It is described in Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita that he was invited to attend a congress for cultivating human spirit, that meeting. That was for international speakers, and he was invited to come. And he wanted to present also Śrīmad Bhāgavatam there, but in an attractive way. So that's why he wrote The Light of the Bhagavat, this book, presenting spiritual philosophy through examples of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. One example that is described that the dark, rainy season of autumn without any stars visible, comparing to this age of Kali Yuga. It's one example of this book, Light of the Bhagavatam. It's actually available to order and to read now. We also have it in our bookshelf, bookshed if anyone is interested. But eventually, with that trip to Japan, it didn't happen because he couldn't collect enough money for travel expenses. Everything else was covered, but travel expenses. So then Srila Prabhupada, he went to America 4 years later. And there's a wonderful pastime of Srila Prabhupada going to Advaita Bhavan. This is mentioned by one Pujari. It's a place where Sri Advaita Prabhu would have this Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come, and they would plan where would they go to distribute the holy name. So they would speak about that between each other. So in Advaita Bhavan, in 50s, there was one Pujari. He was doing seva and Pujari service, and he noticed one sadhu, or one Bengali come. He would wear white cloth, white dhoti and kurta, and he would sit in a corner, and he would just chant Harinam on his mala, and he would chant so intensely and with deep affection for the holy name. You would notice it, and sometimes he would cry. So he would chant and sit for hours and chant the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then this Pujari would notice him, but he wanted to show respect to Srila Prabhupada. He was not looking to speak with anyone. He was just praying and chanting. And then in 1965, Srila Prabhupada comes again to that Advaita Bhavan, that place. But now he's wearing sannyas clothes. But he's still sitting in that corner and chanting the holy name. He's praying intensely and crying even more. And Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And so that Pujari, he approached him. And he asked him, what is your name? And Srila Prabhupada told him, my name is Abhay Charanarvinda Prabhupada. And he said, I've been given this impossible mission by my Gurudev. He has given the impossible mission to come to cross the ocean, come to the West and speak about the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are countless souls who are suffering in this world and who have never heard of Radha and Kṛṣṇa. So he gave me this impossible mission. And it's true, in the West, at that time, people never heard of Radha and Kṛṣṇa. Rarely anyone did. There's one pastime of his Holiness Brahmananda Swami. Actually, it's at the time when Srila Prabhupada went to San Francisco, and devotees discovered the small deities of Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. And then Srila Prabhupada asked His Grace Shyamasundar Prabhu to curve the deities on the larger size. Those are the first Lord Jagannath's deities in the West. And he actually did 2 pairs. He curved 2 pairs of those deities. And one pair was in San Francisco, and another one he brought with him to New York. Srila Prabhupada personally actually did. He put it in crates and brought it to New York City. And so disciples, they met him at the airport, and they took his suitcases, like always, a couple of small suitcases. And then Srila Prabhupada said, that's not it. There's a few more things to bring, those crates of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra deities. So they brought it back to the temple, and then Srila Prabhupada told them to unpack the deities, and then he himself just went somewhere. And so Brahmananda and Hayagriva, they unpacked the deities, and as the first time looking at the deities of Lord Jagannath. So Hayagriva he didn't understand what it is. So he was actually making jokes about the deities. He didn't know, he didn't know that about the deities. So he thought that this is just what's it called? The totem pole, this Native American totem pole. So we're trying to figure out which one goes on top, which goes on the bottom. And then Srila Prabhupada noticed that. He came back and he said, this is God. And then devotees, they offered their obeisances immediately to the deities. And that's how worshipping the deities was established and introduced in the West, in New York City. And devotees, they were so sincere that whatever Srila Prabhupada would say, they would have faith and they would surrender. In the West, people, they did not know about Radha and Kṛṣṇa or Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada was very earnestly praying for the mercy, that somehow he will be empowered and guided by our acharyas and his spiritual master to succeed in America. It's not an easy thing to succeed in America, especially at the age Srila Prabhupada was. So he told that Pujari that tomorrow I'm leaving for Kolkata, I'm going to America. So I'm just here, I'm chanting the holy name, praying very sincerely for the mercy of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, my Guru Dev. And he also, what he did, Srila Prabhupada, he asked for blessings of this Pujari as well. He's very, very humble, very humble. So then Srila Prabhupada came, and the rest of the story we know. Srila Prabhupada came to the West and established the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. And his main principle was to translate books, to give us an opportunity to come, get purified by reading and hearing Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita. As a text in a first canto, Savayapam Sam Paro Dharmo, Yato Bhaktira Dokshiji, Haitaki Pratihata, Haitaki Yatma Suprasidati, that the real satisfaction comes from regularly hearing the message of Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, and to do it without any material improper motivations. Hearing Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, it acts just like an autumn rain on the muddy water. It cleanses. Everything's very, very auspicious. And we might not feel it in the moment. As brahmacharis, I come to Śrīmad-bhāgavatam class every morning, but sometimes I don't feel like I'm purified or anything happened, or I even remembered anything in class. But ultimately, just by regularly doing that, we show the sincerity that we have. Of course, I have no sincerity. I'm just trying to practice whatever is possible on my end. But that's the way to really, in some way, prove Kṛṣṇa that we're serious and sincere, to attentively and regularly come to classes and chant the holy name. I was in La Hoikov maybe a couple months ago. It was a wonderful experience. Actually, probably the most amazing experience I've had on book distribution. I was setting up a table. We distribute books from a table. And I didn't even set up any books, just I put a table like that. And I see one person. She's coming from left side of me. And she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her. And sometimes you can just tell that there's going to be something amazing from that look, And it turned out that she's very interested. Actually, she told me that she did a, what is it called? The silent meditation retreat, Vipassana retreat. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Vipassana retreat. And she also did some service to Eckhart Tolle, which is a famous writer books on spirituality. So she knew him, she saw him, and so she told me her story. She was really inclined to spiritual practice, and I was getting my books ready. So I got the Bhagavad Gita. I showed her what I usually do, the pictures and some verses. And then I thought, this person, she's so mature, she's so ready, she will take the Bhagavatam. So I was parked close by to just maybe 2 minutes away from the place I was distributing books at. And so I decided that I'm just going to go and bring the whole set and show it to her. Why not? So I did that, and I showed her some verses about one thing that stood out to her was there's a picture in the first canto about a cage, and there's a bird there. And Srila Prabhupada would give that analogy that we take care when we take care of the cage. We clean the cage, but we don't do anything for the soul. So the bird inside dies. So what's the use of taking care of the body if at the end of life, what's the use of even following the Varnashram Dharma if I don't develop attraction for hearing the message of Kṛṣṇa and come to serve Kṛṣṇa, come in association with devotees. Anyway, so I was trying to explain that to her. And then I showed her the verse of Mahārāja Parīkṣit sitting at the Ganga River and not eating anything, fasting, not drinking anything, not sleeping, being completely satisfied just by that Shabda Brahman, that sound vibration. And she was like, wow, what I did is I went to a Vipassana retreat. So I said, he pretty much did the same thing like what Mahārāja Parīkṣit did. But he did it for 7 days, he did it for 2 weeks. She went for 2 weeks. Anyway, so long story short, she was really inspired, and she decided to take the Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. But we faced one difficulty. She lives in Alabama. So how would she bring the set back to her state? She was so determined. So she carried it back to the car and decided to bring it with herself to Alabama. And now she's, after this she stayed for a few weeks in San Diego, and she attended a Sunday feast. She took prasadam and got to know some devotees. I think she met Abhi Mataji and Jalatala Mataji, so they spoke with her. It's amazing. And then now she's, I was in touch with her for a while. She's asking questions about how do I understand Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, what's the easiest and best way to progress in spiritual life, and who do I listen to, how do I study it. So now she's read the entire Bhagavad Gita, and she's halfway through the first canto of Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. So she's reading the Bhagavatam. So let's maybe chant one Maha Mantra for her success in spiritual life. And so she can, and all of us, develop attraction for hearing Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Her name is Valencia, by the way. Hare Krishna. So that is the power of Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. It's a really powerful scripture. Sometimes I also meet people, on different occasions I met people who would say something like, I would hear Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, what I would do, they're from India, is that I would do it once a year. I would just be with my friends and some saintly people. I would hear the message of Bhagavatam. For 7 days straight, I would do the same thing. I wouldn't eat anything, I wouldn't drink, I would fast and just hear for 7 days. But then I asked them, but what do you do for the rest of the year? Here and there, if it happens, it happens. If I feel attracted, I will read. But no, this is the Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. Mahārāja Parīkṣit himself is saying that nityam, this hearing should be constant, without interruption. Ahayati ke pratihata. We have to hear every day in order for the effect of that of hearing Śrīmad-bhāgavatam would take, so the effect would take place. And we know the effect of hearing Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. It gives us a real opportunity to go back to Godhead, just like Mahārāja Parīkṣit. He is an exemplary devotee who, just by hearing the message of Bhagavatam, he went back to Godhead. But sometimes we have a problem. We don't have an inclination to hear Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. What do you think can help us if we don't want to hear Śrīmad-bhāgavatam? Prasadam for sure, yeah. Chanting. Association, yeah. Actually, our acharyas describe that if we come just close to the devotees, even if we just look at them, if we don't even speak with them, but just look at them, it's auspicious. They bhakti can transfer just by looking. And in the mind, we glorify, or we feel like, yeah, this is, I like what they're doing. If that kind of consciousness is there, then we get the mercy, because in this age of Kali, we get the benefit just by thinking good in anything related to devotional service or Kṛṣṇa. We get that benefit. And if we sit next to a devotee doing japa or in Bhagavatam class, their bhakti can come. We made of bhakti. I made of bhakti. I have nothing of my own. Whatever little thing I know and have is because of the devotees. That's how it is. I also wanted to speak about, I guess I'll briefly mention that before we go to questions. When we're born into a material world, if we're not raised in the Vaishnava culture, we have this tendency to be affected by the modes of nature. So our hearing is imperfect. Even speaking between each other, we might have some motivations. There's actually five ways that we can see how our hearing is being expressed. And first one is out of ignorance. No, not of ignorance. We ignore a person. A person might speak to us, but we just have a block. We don't want to hear him. A common example is when somebody's trying to convince you in changing faith, let's say. Sometimes we go out and we meet people who are trying to say that whatever you're practicing is not right. You should become this or do this and that. And so this is, of course, I'm not interested of hearing that. So what happens is that I ignore that type of advice. And it's a positive way. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes we ignore just because there's something between me and that person we don't want to hear. I'm not attracted, or I have some malice, some envy. And then also selective hearing is there. Selective hearing means that whatever person is saying, I'm only listening to something that can benefit me. So we all experienced that before, I'm sure. Especially when we're on the call with a bank or something like that, some work-related. We're only interested to hear something that is beneficial. And then after selective, it might be attentive hearing. Attentive, but in the sense that I'm listening to a person attentively, but only to refute whatever he's saying or argue with him. I'm hearing, I'm understanding, but I'm trying to put myself higher. So I'm hearing with that purpose, Same might happen when we hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We chant and we hear, but we have some motivation. We want to get something from Krishna, and that's an offense. And then sympathetic or emphatic hearing. So that's the best type of hearing in the mode of goodness. When we hear a person and we sympathize, and even if the person is not able to formulate whatever he's trying to say in a clear way, we can ask leading questions to that. Something like, as far as I understand, whatever you're trying to say is this, or as far as I feel, you're trying to say this. So we're trying to ask questions leading for him to express whatever he's feeling, whatever is important to him. So that's another way of hearing. And so at this point, of course, we listen as we can. But one thing that is guaranteed, that by associating with the Hare Krishna mantra and listening carefully to the Srimad Bhagavatam with the proper intention and sincerity, just like mentioned in this text, I'll go back to read it. Persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and always taking the matter seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a very short time. That is the guarantee, that within a very short time we'll be able to actually establish our eternal, reawaken our relationship with Krishna, simply by hearing. That's it. Simply by hearing. We We chant, we hear, and we cultivate the prayerful mood of chanting the name and asking for service. That is the mood of devotees. So I'll end here, and like to see if you have anything to add or maybe to ask from this class or anything. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Wonderful class. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. As you mentioned about the Bhagavatam, importance of Bhagavatam, which is essence of Vedas. And Krishna says that I am the one who you can know by Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, and he put his Bhagavatam is non-different than Krishna. Would you explain or let us know how, if somebody wants to purchase a Bhagavatam, I believe there are 18 books, and how can they purchase, and what is the best way to purchase?
The best way to purchase Srimad Bhagavatam is to approach Dhanavari Mataji. She's expert at giving and explaining the Srimad Bhagavatam. So yeah, the Srimad Bhagavatam is a sound incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a story of one person who would hear Srila Prabhupada for 7 years, and he had some doubts in Srila Prabhupada. He didn't really believe in Srila Prabhupada in the beginning. He was not accepting that he's a pure devotee and a pure representative of Kṛṣṇa, Shakti Avesha Avatar. So he was hearing him for 7 years, and he would try to find fault in Srila Prabhupada. But at the end, he gave up and said, there's no fault in Srila Prabhupada. So there's also no fault in Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. And anyone who takes Śrīmad-bhāgavatam in their house, it creates auspiciousness. And whatever spiritual desires we have will be fulfilled by Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, by Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa and Śrīmad-bhāgavatam are not different. We can worship Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. And why? Because Śrīmad-bhāgavatam deals with the nature of pure devotional service. And like I mentioned in the beginning of the class, the center point of Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, it begins with saying that we reject materially motivated religion, and it ends with the holy name. That is the sum and substance of Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. In this age of Kali, we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Nama Kirtana. That is the purpose of Śrīmad-bhāgavatam. And holy name is not different from Kṛṣṇa, so therefore Śrīmad-bhāgavatam is also not different from Kṛṣṇa. So if we want to advance in spiritual life and really closely understand and associate with Kṛṣṇa, we chant, we hear Śrīmad-bhāgavatam, we serve the devotees, we try to aspire to go to holy places, tirthas, such as this temple as well. We take prasadam, and we try to worship the deity. And we don't have to go on an altar to worship the deity. We can just chant before the deity. That's another way of worshiping the deity. And so there's things we can do, and that will definitely help us in spiritual life. Who here wants to advance in spiritual life? Raise your hand. Everyone. Who has the Śrīmad-bhāgavatam set in their house? Beautiful. And the rest who doesn't, please come, we'll give you one. Very simple.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Wonderful. Can I, if nobody has question, can I ask other question?
Mm-hmm. Anyone has a question? Okay.
Thank you. Again, would you please talk about a little bit about the chanting and what is the best? So many of us don't know maybe how to chant or what is the chanting and what are the benefits and how to chant. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question, Latsi. We chant japa, silent meditation on beats, and we chant Hare Krishna mantra, it's right here. And also what we do is we assemble together and we do Harinam Sankirtan, which is congregational chanting. And now it's 7:03, so we'll, instead of saying and explaining, we'll demonstrate. And I'm sure all of you are quite experienced. So we'll chant the holy name right now and try to be very attentive, relish the holy name, because that's the way to associate with Kṛṣṇa, and we should know that the holy name is not different from Kṛṣṇa in our japa and in our congregational chanting as well. So thank you so much for your kind attention. Grantara Śrīmad-bhāgavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. There will be some announcement from Dayanidhi Prabhu as well.